March 15th, 2019, 2:30 in the afternoon. That's when I realized I couldn't get up from my own kitchen chair without wincing. The pain shot through my right knee like a hot wire, and for the first time in my life, I thought, this is it. This is how it starts. I was 75 then. Seemed like yesterday I was throwing hay bales at my cousin's farm in Nebraska, running up stadium stairs at my grandson's football games, walking 3 miles every morning before the sun came up. But something had changed, and I didn't even notice it happening. It crept up on me like fog over a wheat field. One day I was strong. The next day I was careful. Too careful. That afternoon in March, sitting in that kitchen chair, feeling like my body was betraying me, I made a decision that probably saved my life. I decided to pay attention, real attention, not to what the doctors were telling me about arthritis and joint replacement, not to what my friends at the diner were saying about getting old. I decided to pay attention to what I was actually doing. What habits had I picked up? What had I stopped doing? What was I telling myself every day that was making everything worse? It took me 3 months to figure it out, but when I did, everything changed. I discovered I was doing 4 things every single day that were destroying my legs, my back, and my confidence. 4 things I thought were normal. 4 things I thought were just part of being over 70. I was wrong about every single one of them. The first thing I was doing wrong was sitting. Sounds simple, right? But I don't mean sitting too much. Everyone knows that. I mean how I was sitting. After my wife Eleanor passed in 2017, I started spending more time in my recliner. Made sense. It was comfortable. It supported my back. It felt good on my joints. But here's what I didn't realize. I was sinking into that chair like it was quicksand. Every time I sat down, I'd kind of collapse into it. Let it hold all my weight. Let it do all the work. I thought I was resting my muscles. What I was actually doing was teaching them to give up. See, when you sit properly, your core muscles, your leg muscles, your back muscles, they're all working just a little bit. Just enough to keep you balanced and upright. But when you sink into a soft chair, when you let the chair do everything, those muscles go to sleep. They forget how to work. They get weak. And weak muscles hurt. Weak muscles can't support your joints. Weak muscles make everything harder. I realized this one evening when my neighbor Tom stopped by. Tom's 78, 3 years older than I was then. But when he sat down in my kitchen chair, he sat like a man. Straight back, feet flat on the floor, hands on his knees. He looked ready. Ready to get up, ready to move, ready to live. I looked down at myself, sunken into that recliner like a bag of flour, and I felt ashamed. That night I moved the recliner to the garage. I brought in one of Eleanor's old dining room chairs. Wooden seat, straight back, no cushion. It felt awful for the first week. My back ached. My legs complained. But by the end of the second week, something interesting happened. Getting up became easier, not harder, easier. My legs remembered they had a job to do. The second thing I was doing wrong was avoiding stairs. This one's embarrassing to admit. After that day in March when my knee screamed at me, I started planning my life around not climbing stairs. I'd take the elevator at the doctor's office instead of walking up 2 flights. I'd ask my grandson to grab things from the upstairs closet instead of going up myself. I'd even park closer to stores so I wouldn't have to walk up the little slope from the far end of the parking lot. I told myself I was being smart, protecting my joints, saving my energy. But what I was really doing was training my body to be weak. Every time you avoid using a muscle, it gets weaker. Every time you take the easy way, the hard way becomes even harder. Your body adapts to what you ask of it. If you ask for nothing, that's exactly what you get. Nothing. The turning point came when my great-grandson Charlie, he's 5 years old, came to visit for a weekend. Charlie wanted to see the old train set I keep in the upstairs bedroom. The same train set his grandfather played with. The same train set I'd been avoiding for months because it meant climbing 12 steps. I stood at the bottom of those stairs, looking up, and I had 2 choices. I could make an excuse, tell Charlie the train wasn't working, tell him maybe next time, or I could climb those damn stairs. I climbed them. It hurt. It was slow. Charlie had to wait for me at the top. But when we got that train running, when I saw the look on his face, I realized something important. The pain of avoiding life is worse than the pain of living it. From that day on, I started looking for stairs, not to punish myself, but to prove to myself that I could still climb them. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're still here, maybe you understand what I'm talking about. Subscribe if you want to hear the rest. The third thing I was doing wrong was making excuses about my age. This one's harder to explain because it seems so reasonable. I mean, I was getting older. My joints were stiffer. My energy wasn't what it used to be. These were facts. But somewhere along the way, I started using my age like a get-out-of-jail-free card. I can't do that. I'm 75. That's too hard for someone my age. I need to take it easy now. Every time I said something like that, I was giving myself permission to do less, be less, expect less. I was building a prison out of my own words, and I was both the prisoner and the warden. The wake-up call came at my annual checkup. Dr. Patterson, who's been my doctor for 20 years, was looking at my chart with this concerned expression. He said, "Frank, your muscle mass has dropped significantly. Your bone density is down. Your balance tests are concerning. We need to talk about fall prevention." Fall prevention. Like I was already halfway to the nursing home. Like my job now was just to not fall down until I died. I looked at this man who was maybe 10 years younger than me, talking about me like I was already broken, and I got mad, really mad, not at him, at myself, for agreeing with him before he even said it, for nodding along like, yeah, that makes sense, I'm old now, better start thinking about not falling. I walked out of that appointment and drove straight to the YMCA. I hadn't been inside a gym in probably 15 years. The young woman at the front desk looked at me like I was lost. She asked if I was there to pick someone up. I said, no, I want to join. She asked if I had any health conditions she should know about. I looked her right in the eye and said, yeah, I'm alive. That was 4 years ago. I still go to that gym 3 times a week. Someone once told me there are rules that change after 60. One of them says that patience after 60 is the fastest way to die forgotten. My doctor said wait. I stopped waiting. That guide is in the description below. The fourth thing I was doing wrong was ignoring small pains. This sounds backwards, I know. You'd think paying attention to pain would make it worse. But here's what I learned. Small pains that you ignore become big pains that you can't ignore. When my knees started aching after long walks, I just cut the walk short. When my hip felt stiff in the morning, I just moved slower. When my ankle felt wobbly on uneven ground, I just stick to flat surfaces. I thought I was managing the pain. What I was actually doing was managing my life around the pain, making myself smaller and smaller to fit around the hurt places. But pain isn't just a signal that something is wrong. Pain is also information. It tells you what needs attention, what needs work, what needs healing. When you ignore pain, you're ignoring your body's attempt to communicate with you. It's like hanging up on someone who's trying to help you. The breakthrough came when I started working with a physical therapist named Maria. She was maybe 30 years old, and she had this way of looking at pain that was completely different from what I'd been taught. She said, "Frank, pain isn't your enemy. Weakness is your enemy. Pain is just weakness leaving the body." She taught me exercises that hurt in a good way, stretches that felt terrible while I was doing them, but left me feeling better afterward, strengthening movements that made my muscles burn, but made my joints feel more stable. For the first time in years, I was working with my pain instead of running away from it. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It took months. But somewhere along the way, I realized I wasn't thinking about my legs anymore. I wasn't planning my day around avoiding discomfort. I wasn't making excuses about what I couldn't do. I was just living, walking upstairs without holding the railing, getting out of chairs without pushing off with my arms, taking long walks without worrying about how I'd feel the next day. The real test came last summer. My grandson was getting married in Colorado, mountain wedding. The ceremony was going to be held at this beautiful spot, but it required a half-mile hike up a fairly steep trail. A year earlier, I would have made an excuse, told them to take pictures for me, waited at the car. But instead, I laced up my hiking boots, grabbed my walking stick, and made that climb. It wasn't easy. My heart was pounding. My legs were working hard. But I made it. I was there when my grandson said, "I do." I was there when they kissed. I was there when everyone cheered. And afterward, when we were walking back down that trail, my grandson fell into step beside me. He said, "Grandpa, I didn't think you'd be able to make that hike." I said, "A year ago you would have been right. But I stopped doing things that were making me weak, and I started doing things that were making me strong." He asked what I meant. I told him about the chair, about the stairs, about the excuses, about the pain. He listened to the whole story. At the end, he said, "I wish I'd known all that when Grandma Eleanor was getting sick. Maybe she could have. Maybe things would have been different." That hit me hard. Eleanor had gone through the same process I had, but in reverse. She'd started avoiding stairs because her knees hurt. She'd started sitting in soft chairs because they were comfortable. She'd started making excuses about her age because it seemed reasonable. She'd started ignoring small pains until they became big problems. And I'd watched it happen. I'd even encouraged it. Take it easy, honey. Don't push yourself. Act your age. I thought I was being kind. What I was actually doing was helping her become helpless. I can't change what happened to Eleanor, but I can change what happens to me. And maybe, if you're listening to this, I can change what happens to you, too. Everything I learned about sitting, about challenges, about excuses, about pain, it's all in something called the 60-year rule. 9 rules that reverse after 60. I wish someone had given me this 20 years ago. The link is right below this video. Here's what I know now at 81. Your body isn't trying to betray you. It's trying to serve you. But it can only serve you as well as you serve it. If you give it soft chairs and easy paths and constant excuses, it will adapt to that. It will become soft and weak and fragile. But if you give it challenges and purpose and respect, it will rise to meet them. It will surprise you with what it can still do. I still have pain sometimes. My joints still get stiff. I still get tired. But I'm not afraid of these things anymore. I don't organize my life around avoiding them. I organize my life around living fully, and I deal with discomfort as it comes. That's the difference between being old and being alive. Being old means accepting limitations before you've tested them. Being alive means testing your limitations before you accept them. I'm 81 years old. I walk 3 miles every morning. I climb stairs 2 at a time when nobody's watching. I sit in hard chairs with good posture. I pay attention to pain, and I respond to it with strength instead of surrender. Most mornings when I wake up, I don't think about my age at all. I think about what I want to do that day, where I want to walk, what I want to see, who I want to visit. That's not something that just happened to me. That's something I chose. Every day, with every decision, with every movement, I choose to be alive instead of just old. You can make that choice too. It's never too late to stop doing the things that make you weak and start doing the things that make you strong. Your body is waiting for you to remember what it's capable of. Don't keep it waiting too long.